And of course, we can only sustain that if we've got a strong economy. And what Angela's party wants to do, what Jeremy Corbyn would do, and we've got to first look at the coalition of chaos.
Okay, hang on. Before we get into all the big attack on Labour, I really want you, there are important questions that our listeners want to know about your education policy and about the amount of money going in. And the fact is, because there's going to be a rise in the number of pupils, you can't guarantee a real terms increase per pupil, can you?
Let's talk about what really matters to listeners on this programme, and that's standards. Standards over
please
the
answer
past...
the funding question first, and we can move on to another.
I've told you about the fact we've had record funding. That will continue by 2022. There'll be an extra £4 billion a year going in. There'll be a real terms increase in funding every single year. And what matters to parents...
A real terms increase per pupil, though. That's the key thing, isn't it?
But we think we can continue to work with schools on delivering efficiencies. That's absolutely right, with taxpayers' money. And the bottom line, Martha, is that what Labour doesn't want to talk about is the fact that our schools are getting better. Now, nearly 9 out of 10...
Just before you move on to
hold on, though, but this is important. You can't just simply talk about the money going into schools and then ignore the fact that schools are getting better and that our children have never had a better education. And similarly...
Clearly important, but if you just finally give me the answer to the question, which is you can't guarantee a real terms increase per pupil, can you?
We've got an unprecedented amount of investment going into creating school places in our country, and we want to see more good school places, particularly in those communities where they still don't have access to one, and it's absolutely vital. But all of this can only be sustained by having a strong economy, which needs a good deal of Brexit. And what Angela's party would do is wind the clock back and take money out of the very organisations that have been helping to create 2.8 million.
Another point on your policy, if you don't mind, which is the whole idea of you're switching from free lunches for infants to breakfast. And actually, you got the sums wrong on that, didn't you? You said it would cost £60 million. It's going to be far more than that, isn't it? And one last question. We heard the Prime Minister this lunchtime making a major speech on Brexit, but afterwards the Institute of Directors said that there wasn't nearly enough detail for business in this. There hasn't been enough clarity in the election campaign. How do you answer that?
Well, I think the clarity that business does have from this campaign is that if Jeremy Corbyn walks into number 10...
But I was asking about Theresa May's policy on Brexit.
If he walks into number 10 on the 9th of June... companies around our country, including small and medium-sized companies, the backbone of our economy, will face sweeping tax rises. They will cripple our economy. Jeremy Corbyn will finish off the job. Hang on, let me finish off the job, bankrupting
I've given you plenty of time.
Martha, they won't just be doing one negotiation, they'll be doing two. One on Brexit, one with the IMF.
Justine Greening, we'll leave it there.
And of course, we can only sustain that if we've got a strong economy. And what Angela's party wants to do...